Well, just to name a few, I mean, I think most people, like in our U.S. history classes or in our world history classes, we hear a little bit about like, mainland China. It's this communist nation, and they have dictatorships, and certainly that's still very much the case over there. And they're right now the government in mainland China isn't receptive to Christian missionary work over there. So there are other religious groups that are in there that are doing missionary type work, but the church, like the LDS church for right now, is strictly humanitarian efforts over there, like to help out the people and to be productive in society. Hong Kong, on the other hand, because it's called an SAR, a Special Administrative Region. They are, for right now, they have a slightly different government system in that they are more capitalistic and democratic, and they have leaders and they can vote, and it's not a dictatorship, and they are open to missionary efforts. So, for instance, in 1996, I believe, 1997, the Hong Kong Temple was built. It was completed, and that's allowed in Hong Kong. Whereas in mainland China, because there aren't missionary efforts, we don't have a temple there yet. So for members that live in mainland China, they have to come down to Hong Kong, or they can go across to Taiwan. And those are the two nearest temples to them. But besides just those subtle or those significant differences in government, language is a huge difference. Cantonese is only spoken in the southeasternmost province. It's called Guangdong. Or you'll learn in the MTC that Cantonese is called Guangdong Hua, and Hua means language, so it's the language of Guangdong. And so it's there are about 100 million people that speak Cantonese, and then there are like 1.3 billion people that speak Mandarin. So in the end of the day, Mandarin is a lot more useful if you want to be in Greater China. But if you're going to be in Hong Kong, or specifically in Guangdong province, you need to know Cantonese because that's the language that they're going to communicate in, for the most part. Certainly, mainland government is still influencing people to learn Mandarin. So I think most people in Hong Kong are bilingual, and they can speak both Mandarin and Cantonese, whereas the vast majority of Chinese people couldn't speak Cantonese, but they could speak Mandarin. And even there are different dialects. So you'll hear people that are from the same province, Guangdong, but maybe they're from the northeast, and they're going to say things just a little bit differently than someone that's in the south or someone that's in the west. And so you'll pick up pretty quickly that, oh wow, that sounds a little bit like Cantonese, but I didn't understand that word. Or, oh, I understood that word, but they said it with a funny accent. And you'll go up to them and you'll approach them and be like, hey, I heard your accent. Are you from the Northeast? And they'll just be so surprised that A, you're speaking Cantonese, B, that you know where they're from. Another big thing, I think, differences in mainland and Hong Kong is the food. Certainly in Hong Kong, I'd say their food, it can be spicy, but more often than not, I think they're a little more mellow. Like their foods aren't too extreme. Whereas there are some provinces of China where the food is very spicy. There's one province, it's called Sichuan, and there's actually a lot of Sichuan food in the U.S., and it's the really spicy Chinese food that you have quite frequently. And then Shanghai, they have different foods that are spicy, but they also have a lot more sweet. So a lot of like sweet and spicy sauces are over there. Curry is a big thing, no matter where you go in China. Like you can always find curries and different styles of food. Certainly, so linguistically very different. Government's very different. Food can be pretty significantly different. Customs, there are some big differences and some minor differences between how mainland people will do things and how Hong Kong people will do things. One of the general stereotypes is just because Hong Kong is so international, and it's such a big city and it's a hub, that they're busy people and they're not nearly so friendly. And they equate that to mainland people who are a little more relaxed and willing to talk with you, and you can chit-chat a little bit. Other custom differences, or maybe just some etiquette things. In Hong Kong, I'd say that generally the Hong Kong populace, they don't show a lot of affection. Like, you won't hear many people say "I love you" to like their girlfriend or their boyfriend, or to their spouse or their families, just because that's not something they talk about. They show that more than they say that. Whereas in mainland, you see kind of like arms are draped around each other, your arms around your best friend, whether you're a guy or a girl. Hand holding seems to be something that might be a little more prevalent in mainland, for instance, where you can see good friends, like they're not necessarily in a relationship of any sort, but they'll hold hands a little bit, kind of like teenage girls in the US. Like, they just hold hands. It's just what they do. Whereas Hong Kong, they don't do so much of that. Certainly some other differences, like Facebook. That's something that the mainland government, they try and monitor the internet use in mainland and what can be seen. And Facebook isn't something that you are allowed to have in mainland, but they have another social media network called QQ. And then in Hong Kong, you can use your Facebook. And so, as Hong Kong missionaries, when I was a zone leader, we were able to use Facebook, and that was a good way to communicate with our investigators and our members. And so you'll just find that Hong Kong is really international, and there's a lot of technology and advancement going on there. And then parts of mainland are a little more rural, and so they might not have running water and electricity. They're just different. It's not good, it's not bad, but they're just different. And certainly you can see mainland from a lot of portions of Hong Kong. You can see that there are people over there, there are big cities, and they're happy people. They need the gospel just like anybody else. One pretty neat thing about the Hong Kong mission is that because missionary work can't take place in mainland China, those people can get special permission to come down to Hong Kong, and they'll meet with, because for the most part they're Mandarin speakers, they'll meet with a Mandarin elders or sisters companionship, and they'll get taught every lesson in one day, and then they're baptized and confirmed, and then they go back into mainland, and they build the church over there. And so in this way the church can get missionary work into mainland without being there.